viewers, and welcome to the Art with World. I am your host, Arshad Waheed. Our today's guest is Lyane Guillaume. She is a French author known for her documentary fiction. She has studied literature and got training in dance and theatre as well. And she has lived in different countries like Afghanistan, Russia, Ukraine, India, and Uzbekistan. In each country where she stayed, she weaved stories by picking up individual life stories and blending them with social and historical dimensions. Welcome to our show.
Thank you.
How are you?
Fine, thank you.
I understand you have come here for participating in a literary festival in Lahore.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you have visited Pakistan before as well.
Yes, I visited Pakistan long ago. I went to Lahore, Karachi, Peshawar. I visited many sites, so I'm familiar with this beautiful and interesting country.
How were your days last week? You spent in Lahore and you met
different
very authors. Yeah?
Very interesting to meet authors from different countries and Pakistani authors to enjoy the atmosphere. And the site also is beautiful. The building by a well-known architect is beautiful.
Okay. Well, I would like to discuss your books, your writings, your stays in different countries. But before that, I would like to hear from you about yourself. What did you study and how come you thought of writing this documentary fiction?
So I've been trained in what we call the humanities to become, to teach French language and literature. And at the same time, I was trained in ballet and theater. And I always dreamed of writing novels, but in my 20s, 30s, fashion in literature in France was the nouveau roman. Nouveau roman, it was a literary movement which wanted to get rid of all the traditional ingredients of novel, means the plot, even the characters, all that. And I was feeling very bad because it's a kind of experimental novel, but you cannot go on with such an empty shell, you see? So when when my husband, who was at that time my fiancé, we met, we were very young, when he was posted in Afghanistan as an archaeologist, it was my choice to accompany him. So I finished my studies, I completed my studies, and I joined him. And it was 3 months before the invasion of Afghanistan by the Soviet Union. So, you know, for someone who wants to write, it was quite an opportunity. So I started to, learn Persian, read a lot about Afghanistan, because when I arrived, I was almost unable to put it on a map, you know, this country. So I started to read, to travel also. At that time it was possible to go to Herat, to go to, and I was with, my husband was with an archaeological team, so it was very interesting. And slowly, I got interested into the Mughal Empire. As you know, Emperor Babur, the creator, the first Mughal emperor, is buried in Kabul. He loved Kabul. He conquered Kabul before conquering India. So I got interested into this Mughal dynasty, and I asked myself, why not to write a book about Mughal women, because they were very powerful women. And I started to write the memoirs, very daring, I understand, of Jahanara Begum, Shah Jahan's
daughter.
Shah Jahan's eldest daughter, who was a very powerful, but at the same time very wise woman.
Yeah, and I think that was the book which was discussed in Literary Festival in Lahore as well.
Exactly. And this book, may I show you? I will leave the French version in the French Alliance of Islamabad, and the English version, because it has been translated into English, I leave it in for Lahore, Alliance Française.
You have, I think, written other books as well about when you stayed in Russia as well and when you stayed in Ukraine.
Yes.
But just before that, and we'll discuss Jahara again as well because it's a very interesting story in our history. But before that, I would like to discuss about this genre which is called documentary fiction, because you have almost all of your works are written in the same style.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, you are right. I was talking about this nouveau roman who was in fashion in France in the 80s. Now it's finished. And the aim was, as they used to say, not the writing of adventure, but the adventure of writing. And myself, I wanted to come back to the writing of adventure. So that's how I started to write what I call documentary fictions. So what is documentary fiction? It may sound contradictory because fiction is almost lie, and documentary, it is truth. So
do you think documentations are always true?
Well, as far as I am concerned, I try to do something very objective based on documentation. So I choose to write a story with strong characters, a plot, and suspense, even suspense. And inside this scheme, I put as many informations as possible about the country. But it's a very difficult exercise because at the same time you have to keep your reader awake with a story, you know, and at the same time to give him informations, but not in a pedantic way, not in a heavy way. So it's quite an exercise, but I liked it because I had the feeling to bring a lot to my readers.
Okay. So in that way, you think of your characters and maybe you imagine their emotional lives and then you put them into their relevant social and historical perspective.
Exactly. And some people ask me, but you write a lot about women. Your characters are very often women. In fact, when you want to write a book about a country, you have to travel, to study, read and all that, but also to talk with people, to make interviews. But in Afghanistan, it was very difficult for me to interview men, you know.
Yeah.
It would have been a little bit...
Even before this Russian invasion, because in that time you could do that.
No, even when I arrived in Kabul, 1989, it was not so easy. I was not feeling so...
Wasn't it quite a liberal society as we
It was, but even though, you know, the tradition, the history is there. So I started to interview women, or not with a microphone under the chin like that, just talk in a very talkative way and conversations and all that. And I found it so interesting because women are very straightforward, very sincere. So I found it very interesting, and I took this habit to, in all the countries where I've been living, to interview women, so that to get their point of view. And I went on in India, in Russia, in Ukraine, to go through the point of view of women. Okay. But at the beginning, it was not in a feminist approach. It was for practical reasons.
Yeah, but what do you mean by a feminist approach? I mean,
well,
because when you are writing as an author, you take perspectives of all your characters, be
yes,
it women
exactly.
or men, because you have to place them in certain situations.
Exactly, exactly. No, I have always been sensitive to the fate of women in all countries I've been living in, but there are some, of course, male characters in my books. For example, in Proud and Untouchable, about an Indian community of Mahars from Maharashtra, there is it's a family, there is a man, a young boy who became a Sanskrit scholar, and his little sister. So they were doomed to, as Mahars, very low-level Dalits, they were doomed to pick up garbage in the street, to pick up dead bodies, animals and all that. But thanks to school, thanks to university, they started to study and to become respectable people. And this is the story of a family.
You're talking of Dalits, untouchables in India, the lower caste Hindus.
Yes, in fact, low caste, you know, there have been books about Dalits in France, but myself, I have chosen a specific community called the Mahars from this region of Maharashtra. And I went and lived with them a full month. I lived with them a full month. I had someone with me who could speak Marathi and translate from French to Marathi, from Marathi to French. And I gathered many informations about them. And you know, once I was feeling a little bit bad because I had many conversations with local women. And at the end, one told me, tell them we need a well here. Tell them. I said, tell them who? In fact, she thought I was a social worker and that I would help them to get what they wanted. In fact, I was in a selfish approach of gathering information for my book. But anyway, it was very interesting. They liked to talk. And my French readers learned a lot about, not Dalits in general, because they know untouchables and all that, but about this precise community. And it was a good opportunity also to speak about Ambedkar. Because,
Dr. Ambedkar.
Yes, Bhimrao Ambedkar. Because in France, they have heard about Gandhi, but Ambedkar nobody knows. So I explained them that it was not Gandhi who emancipated Dalits, the untouchables, but Ambedkar was a Dalit himself. He was a Mahar from Maharashtra. And before his death in 1955, he advised the Dalits, Mahars or monks, to escape untouchability while living Hinduism and convert to Buddhism. So there is a community of neo-Buddhists in India who now is a political force.
Okay. But I think India is also changing, like these biases and prejudices against lower caste. It's not as much as it might have been before.
In India?
Yeah.
You know, slowly, the system of caste, the class system, which is based on
class system and caste system are different.
Yes, I mean, before it was the caste system anyway will stay because it is connected with Hinduism. That's why Ambedkar told them to convert to Buddhism. But what I mean in India now, the Dalits who have become rich are well considered. The caste system has been replaced by the class system based on money. You know, as everywhere. And you have rich Dalit now in India. And the government uses this you know, it's a political force once again.
And you were just telling me before this interview that you learned dance in India as well, the Odissi form of dance in India?
Yes, actually, you know, when you, as an expat, as a French, you arrive in a country, you are lost, you don't know, you don't understand. So first, learn the language, or try to, and then grasp a thread, something you know. For example, when I arrived in India, I had learned about Mughals in Afghanistan, so I took this subject of Mughals, and another thread was dance, because I've been learning ballet and all that in my country. So with my Mughals on the side and with my Odissi training on the other side, I was a very happy French woman, you see, either in India or in Afghanistan.
And interestingly, I'm just wondering, Jahara was your first book?
Jahanara was the first one, yes.
And I think it covers 3 countries you lived, like Afghanistan.
Exactly.
And Uzbekistan, because Babur came from, I think he came from Uzbekistan.
Exactly, you know.
And then in India, Shah Jahan's daughter. And very interesting period of history it was.
Exactly, and in fact, I should say that Babur, Emperor Babur, has been my best friend, because he was born in Uzbekistan, where I've been living between 2012 and 2017. He conquered Kabul, where I've been also living several years.
Yeah.
Afterwards, he conquered India, where he created the Mughal Empire, and I've been living in India. So, in a way, we have followed each other, Babur and myself.
Yeah, that's true. So, what was it so interesting you found in the story of Jahara?
Well, I was very much interested into the status of women in the Islamic context. And I must say that in the Mughal, during the Mughals, there were many powerful women. Jahanara herself, she received a very good education. She was not allowed to marry because her grandfather Akbar, Emperor Akbar, forbade princesses, Mughal princesses, to get married. So she was not married, she had no children. So in a way...
Was it really that
Yes. She couldn't, she never married.
No, but she never married because of her own reasons, or it was an order that no princess should get married?
Yes, it was an old Akbar's law. And so she was free to get interest into what she liked, art, architecture. She helped her father to imagine the Taj Mahal, and then gardens, the Shalimar Gardens, and all that in Lahore. And she looked after her nieces and nephews. She became a Sufi, Shishti, and then Qadiri. And when she was 17, her mother, Mumtaz Mahal, died. And so Shah Jahan asked her, Jahanara, to become the first lady of the realm. And it's how she started to become a very powerful woman and very rich. The port of Surat was in her hands, you know. So being very wise, very intelligent, learned, and and powerful, she started to have influences on the political decisions. At the time of her father, and even in she was put in jail with her father Shah Jahan by Aurangzeb. Yeah. And after Aurangzeb assassinated Shah Jahan in 1666.
Shah Jahan was not assassinated, he just died.
Dara Shikoh was... No, Dara Shikoh was assassinated. His head was put in a box and given to Shah Jahan's. And Shah Jahan was put in jail in the Red Fort. Jahanara was with him. And when Shah Jahan died...
he was in jail in Agra, not in Red Fort.
He was in Red Fort in Agra. He was put in Agra Fort.
Agra Fort, yes.
in
Red
jail.
Fort is in Delhi. Red Fort is in Delhi.
Yes, so he was put in Agra Fort, Fort of Agra, and Jahanara was with him. And after Shah Jahan's death in 1666, we don't know what happened to Jahanara. She was still alive, and at the end, after some time, Aurangzeb asked her to come and act as an advisor to him.
So you wrote in the same style, or you
Yes.
wrote in the style of memoirs? And
Exactly, it's like memoirs, and I have tried to adopt the style of Persian, very flourished, very, and with a lot of courtesy, descriptions of nature. And it was very interesting because I've learned Persian myself, so it helped me to and my best, I felt very, very happy when some Indians told me they thought it was real, Jahanara's real memoirs. She didn't write memoirs. Actually, she wrote poetry, she wrote the biography of a saint, but memoirs, never. So I did it myself. But she could have written her memoirs, because Gulnara, who was Gulbadan, who was Babur's daughter, Humayun's sister, and Akbar's aunt, wrote Humayun Nama herself. So Jahanara was absolutely able to do that also.
And she was very well-read person. In fact.
Very learned, yes.
Yeah. And well, these are very interesting stories. I mean, you started from Afghanistan, and then you came to India, you did further research, and you developed.
There is a continuity, yes,
yeah.
exactly.
And what about other stories you wrote?
Yes, in fact, my husband was posted in Afghanistan twice.
Yeah, well, that's very interesting. I wanted to ask, because first you went before Russian invasion, in the time when King Zahir Shah was in ruling
yes.
Afghanistan.
No, Zahir Shah. No. After that, no.
You went there before Russia. Oh, okay, yeah.
I came in 1979, just before the Soviet invasion, and it was Hamid Karzai.
Not Karzai. Karzai, Nur Muhammad Tarakai, Hafizullah Amin.
So it
Or
was
Babrak Karmal?
Babrak Karmal.
Yeah.
Babrak Karmal, exactly. Babrak Karmal stayed, yes, it was at Babrak Karmal, and my second stay in
Karzai's time, 2004, I guess.
Yes. So
there must be a huge difference between two.
A great difference, it's very interesting to be posted in the same country at a different time, because first you feel better, the second stay you feel better, you've got the codes of the country and all that, but also you see the difference, the evolution of the country, in the good sense or in the bad sense,
I've also visited Kabul in those days.
Did you?
Around 2003 or 4.
Yes, very interesting country, of course, but unfortunately now nobody can go, and the status of women is just...
But you were telling about your different stories.
Yes, my husband was posted in Afghanistan twice. The second time, twice in India, twice in Afghanistan. So I wanted to speak about my second stay in Afghanistan. First time I get interested into Jahanara Begum, a Mughal princess of the 17th century, and the second time I want to write a book about something totally different, and I chose but I have already spoken about I wanted to write something totally different, so I chose the story of a young woman of the Pashtun community who flew the country with her mother. She went to France. She was a young girl. She was trained in styling clothes. And she came back in 2004 in Kabul to create a workshop for poor women, okay? And while she was in Kabul trying to, the country was so different from her from what it was in her childhood that it was very difficult for her. And she happened to meet the girl who was a servant's daughter. But the servant's daughter belonged to the Hazara community. And the Hazaras in Kabul, they were a little bit like the Mahavs in Maharashtra. I mean, doing the dirty job and all that. So, but when the Pashtun girl meet again the servant's daughter, she realized that she has become someone, because the Hazara girl had not left the country. She stayed in Afghanistan, and because she belonged to the Ismaili community, she was trained in, thanks to the foundation, Aga Khan Foundation, and she became someone in the framework of the Aga Khan Foundation. So the two girls, one Pashtun, who has come back to his country but has become nobody, almost nobody, and this Hazara girl who has become Aga Khan council. So what I wanted to show is how conflicts can totally put disorder in the ethnic and social balance of a country.
Okay. Very interesting. And you also wrote it in the style of, in the form of memoirs?
No, not at all. It's normal novel at the third person. It's not memoirs.
Okay. And what are your themes you would like to write about? I have learned that you have touched the issues of women, about underprivileged communities. These are your favorite topics you discuss in your...
Not really. You know, for example, in Afghanistan, I wanted something totally different from the story of a princess. That's why I chose to speak about contemporary, to deal with a contemporary story. After that, my husband was posted he has been posted in Uzbekistan between 2012 and 2017. And I chose to write a book about Uzbek women, but past, present, well-known women, unknown women, and it's a book, it's like a tapestry.
Okay.
All the stories are interwoven like that or put inside, but there is a plot, there is a central thread with a beginning, and at the end you have the end of the suspense. So it's not only piles of stories, there is a central plot. So all these women, in fact, I am one of the characters. It's in 2014, and I am invited in a gap a gap. It's invitation for women, and they gather all together. They have a good meal, and it's for the 8th of March. It's a feast. I mean, the women celebration, and so
International Women's Day.
International Women's Day. So one is a business woman. Another one is the maid is Russian, because in fact before, at the time of Soviet Union, the Russians were the masters, but after the independence and all that, the Russian elite came back to Russia, and the poor Russians stayed. So in this Uzbek rich family, the maid is Russian. Another one is...
It's very interesting that you stayed in these countries in very important phases of history.
Exactly.
Like in Afghanistan, before Russian invasion and after this Karzai,
exactly, yes.
when Russian left. Same is in Russia and Ukraine.
Exactly.
First they were almost friends, and now they are at wars with each other.
Yes, I made friends with this woman. That's how I got so many informations. And you know what my aim when I write documentary fiction, it's to get rid of cliché. I hate cliché. You know, for example, I don't know, French people have clichés about Frank countries. It's normal.
Can you explain it a bit more?
Yes, in Uzbekistan, French people think that women in Uzbekistan are all with the veil and hidden, but most of them are learned. They can vote. They got the right to vote in the 20s, before the French women got it, because it was USSR. And as you know, in USSR, women could vote very early. So I try to explain all these paradox.
I don't think it's not just French cliches, it's cliches of all developed nations. In the modern, as far as modernity is concerned, when they occupied different colonies and different countries, they thought that these people did not have any knowledge of anything.
Exactly.
It is their duty to teach them, and they are just, so it's not just French cliches, it's all those who occupied Asia, Africa, Latin America.
Yes.
They had this imagination about them.
Yes, exactly. And shall I speak about my book on Ukraine?
Yeah, of course.
In Ukraine, I have written the story, the present of the story, it's 2004. Because we arrived in Kiev in 2000, and we left in 2004. It means at the beginning of the Orange Revolution. So I start my story in 2004, the beginning of the Orange Revolution. It is a woman born in 1958 and his daughter born in 1986. And they are in a taxi and they go to the airport because they go away to France, to Paris, where someone is waiting for them. And during the trip in taxi between their home and the airport, the mother, she let herself overwhelmed by souvenirs, by remembrances. She remembers when Ukraine became independent, and she remembers about Afghanistan because her boyfriend was a fighter in the war in Afghanistan. She speaks about how it was to live in a communal camp, you know, these communal flats where in USSR they used to live all together, 5, 6 families with one kitchen, one bathroom. And she remembers about, you know.
So what was the main theme you wanted to discuss in this story?
I wanted to speak about the recent history of Ukraine from the 1960s to the present time. So through the remembrances of the mother, I can cover half a century of Ukrainian history.
And similarly, I think in the story you wrote about Russia, you talked about Silver Age of literature.
Exactly.
So what is this Silver Age, if you just...
So my book about this is Tower Ivanov. It is a story of a building in St. Petersburg where poets, painters, and all an elite of the Silver Age used to gather. So what is a Silver Age? You know, in Russia, they had the Golden Age. It is the time of Pushkin. And the Silver Age, it is this period between the 1990s and the Bolshevik Revolution of 1917. And during this period...
From 1890s?
Sorry, 1890s till the Bolshevik Revolution. And during this time, poetry, art, and all that was flourishing in Russia, especially in St. Petersburg. But when the Bolshevik came, they got rid of this period because it was considered bourgeois. And even in France, they didn't know about that. You know, in France, they know Dostoevsky, Tolstoy, but the Silver Age, with poets like Vyacheslav Ivanov, they know nothing about it. And because, as I told you, I always wanted to speak about people or periods, historic period, not unknown.
Yeah, and in fact, in most of your stories, you have covered different aspects of different societies. Exactly. Somewhere you have discovered class issues, somewhere you have discussed gender issues, and particularly in this case of Russia, you have discussed about literary history of a country. Well, I just wanted to ask, did you also go through literature of different countries you stayed for some time, and if yes, what's your take on them?
Of course, when I was in Russia, I used to read a lot. You know, Russian literature is well known in France, but mostly Tolstoy, Gogol, Chekhov, and Dostoevsky. That's why I got into this Silver Age literature, poetry and all that, because nobody knew in France. And
but these are the authors everyone knows. Whoever has interest in literature, they know about these authors.
Who?
Like Tolstoy, Dostoevsky.
In France they know. French people know. That's why I got interested into the Silver Age. You know, beginning of the 19th century, end of the 19th, beginning of the 20th century. After Tolstoy, after Dostoevsky, you know, the end of the 19th and beginning of the 20th century. And you know, at the beginning of the 20th century, you have got also in Russia a very modern literature with a lot of experimental poetry and all that. Nothing to do with Tolstoy or Dostoevsky. And I tried also to explain to French people what it is through my... And I haven't made a pastiche.
Pasternak?
No, pastiche. When you try to write, for example, you try to write as Victor Hugo, for example. It's called a pastiche in French.
Yeah, I understand what you are saying, yeah.
Pastiche.
Yeah,
in the style
it's a
of
postmodern style of writing.
in the style of, yes, yes. And maybe I would say a few words about my latest book.
Yeah, sure.
Yes. As you know, I've done a lot, I've been trained in ballet.
Yeah.
And in France, we know, everybody knows about Anna Pavlova. Maybe she's well known in Pakistan, I don't know. Anna Pavlova. She even has got a cake in her name. But nobody knows about this one, Tamara Karsavina. She was very well known at her time. She was born in 1985, died when she was 93 years old. So she had a very long life, very interesting. She was very, very talented ballerina, very beautiful. She married a diplomat, and at the same time, very learned, which is not, you know, all ballerinas are not so learned as she was. So as for Jahanara, I made memoirs. I wrote memoirs. So also I tried to write in the style of in her style, you know, very, very correct, very a little bit old-fashioned.
Okay, great. Can I see that? Yeah. So when was it published?
Alors, it was published in French. It was translated into Russian, and I got the prize Roland de Jouvenel, which was given to me by Académie Française. So, but I'm very proud of the translation in Russian, and this one was also translated into Russian and in Spain. My book on Ukraine was translated into Ukrainian also.
Okay, what about French literature? Your comments on, your views on French literature? It's a rich literature. French literature
yes,
has
French
contributed a lot
literature
in
is
every
very,
genre.
yes, French literature is very rich also. Everybody knows about that. It's very varied also. And as I used to teach French literature, so I read a lot, but I am also very much interested into modern novelists like Michel Houellebecq, like Annie Ernaux, who won the Nobel Prize 2 years ago, and I have even in contact with her. And she was also very much concerned with the fate of women, because she has written about women. I am also a great reader of a French author who was born in Russia, is of Russian origin, but is very well known in France, and he got the Goncourt Prize, which is the most prestigious prize in France. He's called Andrei Makin, and he's also a very good writer. You are also yourself a translator of contemporary literature, French literature.
Yeah, I translated Milan Kundera, who lives in France, but
yes.
he was from.
I am a great admirer of Milan Kundera, absolutely.
So what are trends in French society about literature these days? Is it...
You know, as everywhere in the world, I've been told in the same in Russia, the young generations read less than before because of the screens, you know, internet and all that, because they write very short message through, I mean, so they read big books less and less. And the level is going down. How they even understand French, write French, they have a very poor vocabulary. And, but maybe sometimes, you know, intelligence, EA, intelligent, artificial intelligence will gather all our books, our styles and all that, and produce artificial, even documentary fictions. Why not? I am convinced. You know, people speak about creation. Creation will never die. Creation will remain. I'm not sure. Maybe one day we shall have novels made by artificial intelligence, as we have speeches made by artificial intelligence. And we shall have, I'm sure, films with actors who are artificial actors, I mean virtual characters. Why not? And we won't need any more real characters.
What will human beings do in those days?
Playing with fire, the fire.
And if you have to imagine the stories and novels or poetry written by artificial intelligence, what is in your imagination? How would it be like?
I don't know. You know, the more informations AI can gather, the finer will be the result. So now it's still at the beginning.
No, but writing novels and stories is not just information. It's
of
imagination
course
as well.
Yes, it's not only information. But in terms of style, of details, they can also, the EA can also gather information. So why not give the illusion of creation?
Yeah, it's complex.
It's very complex.
I agree with you in many ways. It may happen like that.
For me, I mean, not my generation. Next generations will know that. You know, for example, in France, I am a member of a French group who try to defend the rights of the
which was founded by Victor Hugo.
Yes, by Victor Hugo, Georges Alexandre Dumas,
yeah,
exactly.
Balzac.
It still exists, yes. And they asked us, the authors, do you want your books be served for artificial intelligence? You can say no, you can say yes if I am given money. You can say yes and they will give you money. No, I wrote no, but I know that maybe in 10 years they won't ask us our advice. It will be slowly.
So human beings
it's
are...
frightening, it's frightening, I do agree.
So human beings will be irrelevant in many things.
No, I try to be objective in my. I don't hope that it will be like that. Of course not.
No one hopes.
I'm frightened by this new generation of this new technology, but I think that we won't have choice. Unfortunately.
Yeah, technology is always powerful. It takes over. It dictates its decisions.
It dictates its, yes.
Yeah. All human civilization is like that. So, thank you very much
Thank you.
for being with us this evening. It was wonderful talking to you. I wanted to talk more, but our time is up.
We could talk endless hours. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Good luck for your future projects. So viewers, thank you for watching us. See you next Sunday, same time.